Hello, all my friends. Thank you for being here again. It's March the 19th, and it is just a tremendous place in history to be. We are just ending a year, coming into spring equinox, which is tomorrow when the sun enters Aries at 9:24:25 p.m. in Greenwich Universal Time. So this is always the biggest day in the year, you could say, when the reboot happens, when nature comes back to life, when that 0-degree Aries energy is kicked in. And this is a powerful chart, as you probably can see easily, just even with the nodal axis here, perfectly in the Greenwich rising. We get deeper into this chart in a while. I just want to first say something basic. We are definitely in for a huge shift in the next few days, and this will just lay the foundations for another 3-year period. It was back in 2017 when I wrote a longer article. I said 2026, that's the real deal. That's when we will arrive fully in that new frequency band. Still lots of cleanup to do, change and whatever, but the fundamental parameters will be in place by 2026. Up to then we are still building. We're coming out of a 3-year, very difficult, challenging period. We are graduating as we speak and reboot into a new, the last 3-year cycle in that sense, into that full accomplishment. And right now what we are seeing probably is a very clear separation of two worlds, and they will be exist simultaneous for 3 years. That's what I'm getting from my personal observation, but also from the 9, whom I always love listening to, as shared by Magenta Pixie. And I just want to give you the basics, just in a nutshell, of her transmission. I will put the link underneath so you can listen to the whole thing. But basically what they're saying is in resonance with what Jacqueline Hobbs also says, that we are reactivating the earth lines, the earth grid, in a fully new way. It is dragon energy, which is literally manifesting itself, which is the heart energy of our collective effort of bringing that higher frequency into the earth, healing earth in a very basic way. That's what it is. Inserting liquid crystalline light plasma, that's what they call it, the 9. So they say, yes, this is a big moment. They call it a really new beginning on the 21st with new moon, and this will coincide with a few really interesting astrological alignments which I'm here having lined up for you, and I will get deeper into. So the 9 also mentioned the whole financial destabilization, and which is as they call it a mono thread, very linear thinking, tunnel vision. That is what these forces are able to follow through on a linear path. We are creative, we see the multidimensional, the quantum reality in our creative aliveness, and that is the great difference. One of the really basic difference between artificial intelligence and biological intelligence. We are creative, we are unlimited in that sense. I might quickly expand on that a little bit. It was in the 1980s around when I became very strongly aware of the difference. I'm a musician, of electronic music versus real instruments, and the difference is that anything, any sound electronically produced, yes, can come very close to a trumpet, to a piano, but there are only so many overtones which can be implemented, versus the real instrument will have an infinite number of overtones which makes it sound real. So AI is always limited in that sense. It doesn't have that connection to the quantum field. A very simple way of seeing the difference: what if you have two clocks? One is standing still and the other is always a minute behind. You ask AI which clock is more exact, and it will say the one which is not working, because it's 2 times a day it is exact, the other is never exact. So that shows you the way AI thinks. AI cannot handle paradox. That's another way to say it, and that is all our trump cards. And with all that Piscean energy here at this equinox, this beginning of the year, the moon and Saturn and Neptune, this is an incredible resource of that creative quantum field, chaotic energy. And it happens that chaos is a major player here in this whole structure. If you follow me on a regular basis, you will might remember that when with the new year I showed you the amazing lineup on New Year's Day. Chaos heliocentrically had entered Cancer on this day. Here you have it, chaos now presently here in geocentric position 2854. Chaos moves once around the zodiac in about 308 years, is an Kuiper belt object. Chaos is original order, primordial resonance with the source field. It is when everything falls apart in a way, then assembles itself again in the natural order. That's the idea behind it. That's why this character, this symbol, has been turned into its opposite, as so many things in the 19th century, with the present meaning chaotic, which we see as totally random and crazy, non-linear for sure, but there is order in it, like everywhere in nature. If you see any untouched nature, in any state, it has that perfection. That is what chaos is about. So chaos moved into Cancer on the first day of the new year, and simultaneously on that day there was a heliocentric Mars Aspolus conjunction, and there was a Uranus occultation, and Venus and Pluto had their conjunction, their yearly conjunction on New Year's Day, which already pointed out the main players this year, Venus and Pluto being the two main ones. Venus now rising as an evening star, beautifully visible if you go out in the evening. It's rising in altitude every day now into May probably. So Venus is super important. Venus is bringing us together globally onto one timeline, one agenda. That is what is happening right now in a very strong way. As you see, Venus is perfectly conjoined the lunar north node and the 7th house cusp and Juno. This is a beautiful big conjunction, which in astrology we call a stellium. And if we think of how this energy expresses, Venus is first of all ruling Taurus. So Venus is in her element of love, of abundance, of overflow, of enjoyment, pleasure, beauty. But it is the physical touch. It is also connected to money and to wealth and to richness in all ways. So this is a wonderful sign to start with, very auspicious. Then the moon in late balsamic position, just you see 12 degrees, still the moon has to travel less than a day to catch up with the sun. So the balsamic moon is having that, on one end, very dreamy nature of just patiently waiting and seeing what will unfold. It is an energy of an old crone, a wise woman in that sense, and it has that prophetic insight into what is just about around the corner. Neptune between moon and sun, beautiful. This is the planet everything revolves around, as I already laid out in my earlier recordings quite a few times. This is really Neptune's awakening. It's breakthrough into a higher frequency band of expression, out of that foggy, distorted and convoluted mess into clarity, into clairvoyance, clairaudience. All that is very Neptunian. It's that ability to connect with the unseen world. Neptune naturally is also connected to mirrors and to double mirrors. You don't know, is what you're seeing a reflection, or is it what is it transparent what you're seeing? And you see there's many layers of reality. That's all coming into focus with a early Aries Mercury. Beautiful saving grace here in this chart. Mercury in Aries is the one which rethinks reality into manifestation. Everything, and this is really super important to understand, everything starts with a thought. Before you have a vision of something, you can put it into reality. First you have the idea, and then you start working on the manifestation. That's what Mercury means in Aries. It is the hierarchical ruler. I do like that system. Alice Bailey has received from her unembodied master, that master astrologer. That is a great way of understanding what is behind the scene, really pulling the threads. And naturally Mercury in that sense is, it could also as simple as bring it back to the statement in so many creation stories: at the beginning is the word, at the beginning is the idea, the thought, the frequency, which then triggers life to become manifest, forms to take shape. So let's just roll back a little bit. Actually, before we roll back, I want to show you just one more chart here, which is this one. That is when 10 days ago or close to, chaos turned stationary direct, ST, that means stationary direct, at 28:53. That was here in Cancer. Now, why I bring up this chart is, I mentioned chaos before. I just want to show you how this all comes together, what planet has a major voice in this present manifestation of realities. When that little body started moving forward, which means expressing itself outward again, which will be for the next probably 5 to 7 months, 7 months likely, and with the 1632 Leo rising, if we go back to the new the Aries ingress chart, you see this is pretty much exactly the degree here at midheaven. So it is about letting everything fall to pieces and allow it to reintegrate itself into new forms. You could also compare it to the can I say it, now I lost the word. If you think in computers, defragmenting, that's the word I'm looking for. Defragmenting the hard drive. Everything will then be put, first it goes through a process of taking everything apart and reassembling it in a more proper and more healthy way. So this is big, and naturally the appearance of it will be pretty difficult at times. It is a period to go through, worth every minute of it. So then the green comet is the next one I want to bring into here, and actually let's just go back here to the charts I have lined up. So you heard me say Mars and Aspolus had their heliocentric conjunction on January 1st. Now, just 2 days ago, they finally had their geocentric one, as seen from Earth. That was here at 2609 Gemini, very close to the opposition point of the galactic center to start with. And it so happens that Mars is at the galactic center, at the opposition point pretty much right now. So Mars is super, super important. Mars has been the planet which received the information from the comet. As I showed you, there's all that connection between the comet, green comet, and the green comet actually also has that 16th, 17th degree of Aquarius very strong. Let me just quickly show you here on the side. This is the discovery chart of the comet, and you see 1608 Aquarius, 1608 Leo. That means the expressing, meeting the world. 7th house cusp is in that same degree as the degree of midheaven, of this beginning chart of a new cycle, of a great new cycle. So this was 2 days ago. Mars had its conjunction with Aspolus, and you see here with Moon and Pluto right at midheaven in this powerful 28th degree of Capricorn. That's where Pluto will actually get back to 2753, pretty much exactly, before it then definitely will enter Aquarius in January 2024. That will be around. So this was also within less than a couple hours of the upper conjunction of Mercury, when Mercury was perfectly behind the Sun. And as you see, this big conjunction of Mercury, Neptune and the Sun, showing on one side that yes, it is Neptune, which gets all the attention right now. On one side, the extreme distortion of its energy in the most blatant and crazy shapes and forms, so that nobody really can unsee it. It is so blatantly obvious. On the other side, we have the new frequency starting to manifest, which is really at the other end of the Neptunian band of visions and imaginations, of connecting intentionally with that frequency and trying to understand it. Mercury is the one which is all about perception, and perception is linking in with that imagination and that visionary aspect, and recognizing the mirror, recognizing, bringing attention to it, all still in hexagram 36. That is super interesting as such. This is the last hexagram, really truly the culmination of Pisces before we enter 2815, which we are now at. You see, presently we are already in hexagram 25. We are already in this convection zone, you could say, that overlapping time of tuning into a whole new frequency, which is beautiful how the I Ching overlaps here over the edges of signs. It's kind of like the mortar between the two different energies, holding them together. 25 innocence, new beginnings. Very powerful hexagram in the I Ching if you're familiar with it. Anyway, this big conjunction here, when Mars and Aspolus had their conjunction, when Mercury and the Sun had their conjunction, when the Moon was here in the last degrees of Capricorn, all that happened under the frequency of 36, darkening of the light, which really pulls us to the center of the crisis. The light is deeply hidden underground. It's pitch dark. You can't see anything. In a way, you have to really start developing your sixth and seventh sense almost to navigate through reality. That's what 36 is all about. And it is also about coming back to source energy, coming back full circle before we then jump into a whole new adventure with entering Aries. So this was the Mars-Aspolus conjunction 2 days ago, and which really opened that window of powerful frequency shifts. And then, earlier today, Mercury entered Aries. Just thought this was really an interesting chart too, as we have this Hygeia rising, all about serendipity, health, well-being. That is the basic frequency here in Aquarius. And how could it be? It's squaring the nodal axis. You see, that is where the ascendant will be just a day or so later at Equinox, as I showed you. And then, so here you have it, Mercury 0 degrees Aries. A big moment of new beginnings, naturally, of that imagination energy, of new ideas, new ways to go about with life, to look at everything. And here we have it just a little bit later. See, that was 4:24 a.m. and now 9 hours later, Mars is exactly opposing the galactic center. That is where the galactic center is presently as seen from Earth. Naturally in Sagittarius here. So Mars exactly opposing means this is the moment when Mars is fueled by this galactic energy, which is super powerful. It's the oversun, the higher level of solar energy emitting from the galactic center, where all the stars we see in our night sky are rotating around. So this is a super powerful point in the sky. Whenever it's emphasized, whatever is there is amplified, which brings me to the comet once more, as the comet is the secret ingredient in this whole stew, if you want. And the comet just is still coming out of its gaining momentum. Let me just see. Here it is, the ephemeris. You see the comet turned to direct motion on the 5th of March, and since then you see it barely has gained 1 degree, and on the 17th it finally entered the 10th degree, and the 10th degree of Gemini has a very powerful Sabian symbol. It's a nose-diving airplane. That's where we're at. So this is a pretty dramatic period in that sense. We're in over these days into March 25. You see here on the 17th at noon. This is the longitude, and then here on the 25th we are moving into the 11th degree, crossing the 10 degree mark. So the 10th degree is that nose-diving airplane, and let me just read you a little story here. It's worth it, it's powerful. A superior ability to challenge nature and play with danger. Okay. We're really taking great risks right now, and nature takes great risks. Everything is kind of at stake. That's what it feels like. There's that thrill in the air. I mean, you can imagine sitting in an airplane in a nose-diving situation, and it's like an elevator going very fast down. Your stomach comes up to your chest. It's kind of that feeling, and that is the background energy for these next few days. This shift is quite dramatic in many ways, as the 9 indicate. They actually say the big new beginning is the 21st with new moon, and on the 22nd people might wake up a little bit disoriented. It will be interesting to really encounter and experience that, how things will be different. They speak of a Robin Hood society we are establishing right now, with the return to the natural, organic and pure, an experiential reality. I really like that take. They also say on that note, and this will be the theme of a whole other video, but just throwing it in, that as we obviously see now the financial world destabilizing, they say it actually in these words, they call it, there will be 5 sequences of financial shifting running along each other. Interesting, 5 different waves of shifts coming our way, and again it is mono thread, which is what they try to do and they cannot see the complexity, we will take great advantage of this situation. They also say, and this is another really interesting little snippet, that the moon's energy will change from being obscured, and this is again my interpretation, my paraphrasing of what they say, kind of taking away a layer of confusion from the lunar energy, bringing it back into a clear signal. Very interesting, whatever that means, but silver is related to, the moon is related to silver, right? That's how I wanted to say it. And I guess silver could be a really interesting thing to watch. And if you still, I mean, I'm just telling you what I'm doing, but silver has potential. Now, just staying here with this chart for a minute, this Mars refueling with galactic energy, and yes, Mars at midheaven naturally with nonetheless then Chiron here at midheaven most exactly. Yes, the whole theme still is very painful in many ways. It is always the demolishing of something which is no more working. It's not easy. There's always something of us who goes with it too. It is a death process in many ways, even though we will definitely be reborn out of the ashes. It's the phoenix rising. It is really that time we are in. And Jupiter here, this is the great light, if you want, the powerful magnanimous energy of amplifying, expanding everything. Jupiter in Aries since winter solstice. I predict that this would be a really wonderful undercurrent of moving into totally new territory. We definitely have experienced that. It's been a wild ride, particularly because these two worlds are drifting ever farther apart. But we are just now at a place where we will experience a stabilization of our new frequency world, going into such a powerful fusion with nature and reality at large that all the remaining other frequencies of control and you name it will totally fall behind. They're disintegrating. It's literally they are in a self-destruct mode. Their time is over. That frequency band is now more and more turned off, literally, and we will see. It will be quite amazing the next 3 years, but that's the big purification which is now becoming real in many ways unseen to this point. So this is the same chart heliocentrically, Mars here at the galactic center as seen from Earth, and look at what Mars shows up here in the heliocentric chart. It's just mind-blowing sometimes, the resonance here with the two systems. And naturally, as you know, the heliocentric is the background energy. It is the charge of each photon, has that coding of what the sun is experiencing in aligning with the planets, that subtle tweaking of its frequencies in a certain direction, which then is what we are nourished with. And again, I don't want to stay too long here. There's many more charts I really want to quickly go through here, and this is the next one. Now, Ceres is a powerful player right now. Ceres is the earth goddess energy, a water planet. Some astronomers say there's more water on Ceres than on planet Earth. Ceres is all about mothering, love, compassion, but there's also that side of Ceres which can be extremely resolute and say no. It's a really good mother, which at times, as you are in that parental role, you have to take on this resolute and clear boundary setting message. That's what Ceres can be. Ceres can pretty much shake things up in a great way, unheard of, as we all know, being parents. And Ceres, you see 0 degree Libra here in the heliocentric. Now, as this occurs right around the time when Earth and Ceres are at the same place in the zodiac, so there will be a conjunction with Ceres just a day or so later. And as during conjunctions with planets in the heliocentric system, if Earth conjuncts with Ceres, what does that mean? It really means that it is that Earth is between Ceres and the Sun. It's a little bit imagination, but that's what it is. So Ceres is literally moving backwards right now through the sky because it's at the solar opposition point, which means, as seen from Earth, it goes just the other way. I show you here in a minute. So this is the heliocentric ingress of Ceres. We get back to this chart in a second. Just quickly want to show you. This is the moment Ceres and Earth are in conjunction. Then that is on the 21st, and then if we go to that moment when Ceres is going backwards, re-entering Virgo, that is then on the 23rd. So there's a shift here happening. So let's have a closer look at Ceres for a minute. Happening today, actually already happened a few hours ago. So now Ceres is in Libra. Both Libra and Virgo are thought to be ruling that energy Ceres holds, or in other words, Ceres feels at home in these two signs. In Libra, naturally, it is the more social aspect of nurturing and nourishing, of making new contacts, of building new connections, versus in Virgo, where it gets into, as seen from Earth, it's all about healing and recovering and nurturing at the very, very deep level, at the organic level. So it is interesting that this shift happens, and simultaneously we have this beautiful blue trine here with Pluto and Sedna. And Pluto naturally here heliocentrically still quite a bit in Capricorn, but nevertheless, if we look at it from a geocentric position, then yes, we know Pluto is in its last days here in Capricorn, and this adds a really interesting twist, as Pluto, it is always when a slow planet is in the very last days of this transiting of this sign. So Pluto is mastering now this Capricornian energy, has come to fully understand it, fully express it. At the same time, it's in a zone of turmoil, of already sensing what is ahead, which is a huge shift and change. So Pluto is super powerful over these next few days in general. As you all know, by the 23rd it will enter Aquarius for the first time. So yes, these are really epic few days. We are in already quite a bit, getting deeper by the hour. So let's just go back here once more, just to show you the magnitude of this chart is with Uranus and Juno here in midheaven, Saturn at the 7th house cusp, Virgo rising. Overall, there is great intensity and surprise, unexpected twists, but the bottom line is it's about healing, health, well-being. With the moon conjunct Saturn just in the 1st degree of Pisces, it is also that reality is dissolving around us, structures are failing. It's that dissolution which is kind of Neptune's energy. So this is once again the solstice, equinox chart, sorry. And then this is the same moment heliocentrically, and you see already Mercury and Chiron here, powerful, connected. Venus again at that galactic center opposition. So Mercury and Venus both are in a very powerful placement. And this is the chart I already showed you, and then here we have on the 21st, this is just short before new moon, that Earth and Ceres have their exact conjunction, again that big blue trine. Sedna being the interesting partner here in this big trine. Sedna is bringing in a whole new perspective of depth, of complexity in that last degree of Taurus, truly soaked with that very down to earth information of how the greater cosmos is structured, in a way, I would say, that bringing into form all that which usually cannot be seen and said. It is quite a magical combination of energies, and this again is at the root of the coming few months. Then the new moon, this is really the new beginning. 23 Virgo rising here in Greenwich, and that one I wanted to read you. This is a lion tamer displays his skills and character. Again, that's the source I'm getting this from, if you are new here. The need to tame one's vital energies in order to fulfill one's destiny. Resoluteness and patience are the key words. Then okay, then after new moon we get that switch. Ceres, as seen from Earth, goes back into Virgo. I really found this super interesting also with the degrees when this happens. Again, the 28th degree of Capricorn here, with Pluto rising, nevertheless. And that same moment, heliocentrically, with Sedna here, pretty close to exact at the 4th house cusp. I mean, it's already here, it's just a little hard to see, there's more population here. So again, that Pluto Sedna trine, which is really helping us to shift in a harmonic way into a much deeper frequency band ahead of Sedna's first entry into Gemini on June 15, when all that information then comes to the surface and is being shared and delivered more and more, as this will be a long period of time with the coming decades into, I guess, the year 2060 or so. Sedna again to 11,000 years it takes Sedna to travel months around the sun. Sedna, with its interesting name ending in DNA, Sedna, that connection to the basic interface between light and matter. As we now know, DNA is really set up to transceive, to bring in photons. That's and the DNA can totally reassemble itself if the frequencies change, as Dr. Lipton has pretty much proven. Miracles are possible once we are allowing them to be there. Actually, they happen otherwise too, but it is definitely, the more we are in tune with that frequency, the more it happens. So then Pluto enters Aquarius, and this will be a whole new session, but I just wanted to quickly show you with the Leo rising, the Aries midheaven, Mercury high up here with Salacia. Yes, we are enjoying this ride greatly. This will be just an adventure into a whole new frequency band. Actually, it happened in 1781 when the last time Pluto entered. Actually, it entered Aquarius a few years before, but in 1781 there was this Pluto squaring the nodal axis in that same way, with the North Node in early Taurus, nourishment, and that was when Uranus was discovered. Just thought that was super interesting. Uranus here has its fingers in the game naturally too, as this is Aquarius. That's its turf. It's home ground. So expect the unexpected, expect something which you have not even been dreaming about. It will be wild, it will be furious, it will be wonderful, it will be difficult, and it also will be extremely rewarding. So hold the ground, help those who are not so well informed, who are lagging a little bit behind. This is a adventure we are all in together, and the more we help and support one another, and again this is very much Ceres, the faster the transition will take real shape and form. Thank you for listening, and talk to you soon.